there's no seat for you. You'd make it awkward." That was the text my mother sent me 40 minutes before my sister's wedding. The wedding I paid for. Every last cent. The flowers, the venue, the open bar, the honeymoon suite, all of it came out of my checking account. And she didn't even have the decency to tell me to my face. My name is Renee. I'm 31 years old, and 2 months ago I was standing in a hotel bathroom in Savannah, Georgia, wearing the lavender dress I'd picked out specifically because my sister said it matched the bridesmaids. I had my hair pinned up. My heels were by the door. I'd spent the morning steaming tablecloths and arranging place cards because the coordinator had called in sick, and somebody had to do it. That somebody was always me. But what if that text wasn't the worst part? What if the real betrayal had been building for years, hidden in shared bank accounts, buried in unsigned IOUs, wrapped in every Renee will handle it that my family threw around like a greeting? How do you sit across the table from people who smile at you while they're draining your future dry? Let me go back. I grew up in a 2-story colonial in Augusta, Georgia. My mother, Janine, taught Sunday school and kept the house spotless. My father, Dale, sold insurance and played golf on Saturdays. My brother, Troy, was 3 years younger and had the kind of easy charm that made teachers forgive late assignments. My sister, Camille, was the youngest 5 years behind me, and from the day she was born, the sun rose and set on her schedule. I was the oldest, the dependable one. The one who got a scholarship to Georgia State, graduated early, landed a job in healthcare administration before I'd even moved out of the dorms. By 24, I had my own apartment in Atlanta, a decent savings account, and the unspoken role of family safety net. It started small. Troy needed help with a deposit on his apartment after college. $800. He said he'd pay me back in 2 months. That was 6 years ago. Then my mother called about the roof. "Just a temporary loan, sweetheart. Your father's between policies." That was $4,000 and a silence that stretched into forever. Camille's requests were different. She never asked directly. She'd mention things: the cost of her graduate program, how tight rent was, how her car was making a strange noise, and my mother would call an hour later. "You know your sister's struggling, Renee. You're the one who's stable. Can't you help?" So I did. Every single time. Because I thought that's what family meant. By the time Camille got engaged to her boyfriend, Marcus, I had transferred over $67,000 to various family members across 5 years. I kept a file, not because I expected it back, but because some part of me needed proof that I wasn't imagining it. When Camille announced the engagement, my mother called me before she called anyone else. Not to celebrate, to plan the budget. Camille wants a spring wedding. Nothing too flashy, but tasteful. We're thinking Forsyth Park area. You know your father and I can't cover something like that right now. I didn't even hesitate. I said yes. I opened a new savings account, labeled it Camille's Wedding, and started depositing $1,000 a month on top of the lump sum I'd already committed. Over the next 10 months, I paid for the venue, a restored plantation house outside Savannah, the catering, the florist, the photographer, the DJ, the rentals, the cake. I booked the hotel block. I coordinated the rehearsal dinner. I designed the invitations because Camille said the ones she found online were too generic. I drove down 3 separate weekends to do tastings, walkthroughs, and fittings. Each time I slept on my mother's couch because nobody offered me a room. I never complained, not once, because I believed this was love, that giving without limits proved I belonged. The morning of the wedding, I woke up at 5. I ironed linens. I picked up the bouquets from the florist because the delivery driver had canceled. I called the caterer to confirm the allergy-free options I'd arranged for Marcus's aunt. By 9, I had driven to the venue, set up the welcome table, arranged the gift station, and steamed Camille's veil because it had been folded wrong in the garment bag. Nobody thanked me. Nobody even noticed. My mother arrived at 10, walked past me without a glance, and started rearranging the flowers I'd already placed. Troy showed up at 11, hungover, asking if there was coffee. I went back to the hotel to get ready. That's when the text came. I was standing in front of the mirror, fastening my earrings, when my phone buzzed. A message from my mother in the family group chat, the one titled, "Camille's Big Day. There's no seat for you at the ceremony. It's immediate family and the wedding party only. You'd make it awkward with Marcus's side. Just come to the reception later." I read it 3 times. My fingers went cold around the phone. I scrolled up to see if anyone had responded. Troy had sent a thumbs-up emoji. Camille had sent a heart. My father hadn't responded, which was his version of agreement. I sat down on the edge of the bathtub, still holding the phone. The tiles were cool against my legs. I could hear someone laughing in the hallway, probably another wedding guest heading out. My chest felt tight in a way I couldn't name, not pain exactly. More like the sudden realization that a door you thought was open had been locked the entire time. I wasn't a bridesmaid. I had assumed I would be. But Camille had chosen her college roommates and Marcus's sister instead. It's not personal, Renee. I just want people who are the same age range. You understand. I had understood. I always understood. But this being told I couldn't even sit in the audience at a wedding I had personally financed, this was something else entirely. I called my mother. She picked up on the fourth ring, her voice hurried. Renee, I can't talk right now. We're doing photos. Mom, I got your text. What do you mean there's no seat for me? A pause, then a sigh. The kind of sigh she used when I was being difficult. Sweetheart, it's Camille's day. She's nervous about the seating chart. Marcus's family is large and they need the space. You can come to the reception. It's not like you're missing everything. I paid for everything. Another pause. Longer this time. Renee, this isn't about money. Don't make it about money. She hung up. I sat there for a long time. Long enough for the light in the bathroom to shift from bright to golden. Long enough for the sounds of the hotel to change, doors closing, engines starting, the world moving toward a celebration I had built but wasn't invited to. I took off my earrings. I unzipped the lavender dress. I hung it back in the closet, put on jeans and a plain white t-shirt, and sat on the bed. My hands were steady, but something inside me had come undone. Not broken, released. I opened my laptop. I hadn't brought it planning to work, but I always carried it. Force of habit. I logged into my bank account and pulled up the transaction history for the past 12 months. The numbers stared back at me, relentless and specific. Venue deposit $4,200. Catering final payment $8,700. Florist $2,100. Photographer $3,500. DJ and sound $1,800. Hotel block guarantee $2,000. Rehearsal dinner $3,100. Dress alterations $600. Cake $900. Transportation $750. I stopped counting at $31,000. I scrolled further. There were older charges too. Troy's rent deposit from 3 years ago never repaid. My mother's emergency dental work $2,400. My father's golf club membership renewal, he told me he'd cancel it, but the charge reappeared every January. Camille's security deposit, her car insurance, her laptop when the old one broke. Then I found something I didn't recognize. A credit card in my name, a Discover card with a $9,000 balance. I had never applied for a Discover card. I clicked into the details. The billing address was my parents' house. The primary contact number was my mother's cell. The charges were spread across department stores, restaurants, and an online furniture retailer. My hands went cold again. I kept searching. A second account, a store credit line at a home improvement chain, opened with my social security number 7 months ago. Balance, $4,200. The shipping address was Troy's apartment. I closed the laptop, opened it again. I needed to be sure. I pulled my credit report. 2 hard inquiries I didn't authorize. A new address listed under my name that I'd never lived at. A supplemental health insurance plan, the kind employers offer for dependents, listing me as the policyholder, but my father as the beneficiary. I called the insurance company. A woman with a cheerful voice confirmed it. Yes, Miss Renee, the plan was activated in February. The primary contact on file is Dale Whitfield, my father's name. I thanked her and hung up. I sat perfectly still. Outside, I could hear car doors closing, people laughing on their way to the ceremony. To Camille's ceremony, the one I paid for but couldn't attend because I'd make it awkward. They hadn't just excluded me. They had been living off me, my credit, my identity, my silence, while treating me like an inconvenience. I wasn't family to them. I was an open account. That night, while the reception carried on somewhere across the city, speeches and champagne, and a first dance I'd never see, I sat in that hotel room and did something I'd never done before. I made a decision that had nothing to do with anyone else. I opened a spreadsheet and titled it, What They Took. I filled in every line, every transfer, every bill, every unauthorized account. By the time I finished, the total was over $91,000. I saved the file, backed it up to my personal cloud, and closed the laptop. I didn't cry. I didn't call anyone. I just sat in the dark and listened to the air conditioning hum. And for the first time in years, I felt something that wasn't guilt or obligation. I felt clear. The next morning, I checked out of the hotel at 7. I didn't wait for brunch with the family. I didn't stop by the venue to help clean up something I'm sure my mother assumed I would do. I drove straight back to Atlanta, 3.5 hours on I-16 with the windows down and no music. When I got home, I poured a glass of water, sat at my desk, and started. First, the credit cards. I called Discover and reported the account as fraud. I filed a dispute. The representative was calm and efficient. "We'll freeze the account immediately, ma'am. You'll need to file a police report for our records." I said I would. Then I called the home improvement store. Same process. Freeze. Dispute. Documentation. Next, I logged into every shared account I could find. The family phone planned 4 lines, 3 of which weren't mine. I removed my payment method and ported my number to a new individual plan. Cloud storage, I revoked shared access. Streaming services, Netflix, Hulu, HBO, Disney Plus, all under my email, all paid by my card. Cancelled. Every single one. I pulled up Troy's tuition payment portal. He was in his last semester of a master's program he'd started and stopped twice. My autopay was still active. I disabled it and sent a message through the portal. Financial support has been withdrawn. Please contact your institution for alternative arrangements. Then the health insurance. 1 phone call. Termination of authorization. The agent didn't even flinch. I worked steadily for 3 hours. No anger, no theatrics. Just a woman disassembling a system of dependence that had been built on her silence. By noon, my phone started buzzing. Troy first. "Hey, something's weird with my tuition account. Can you check?" Then Camille. "Netflix isn't working? Did you change the password?" My mother, 40 minutes later. "Renee, call me. Something's going on with the phone bill." I didn't respond to any of them. An hour later, a new group chat appeared on my phone. Whitfield family minus Renee. I wasn't added to it, but Camille had accidentally included me in a screenshot she sent to the wrong thread. The preview showed 3 messages. Troy. "She's throwing a tantrum because of the wedding." Camille. "Just give her a week. She always comes back." My mother. "I'll call her tomorrow. She just needs to calm down. She always comes back." I stared at that line until my vision blurred, not from tears, from focus, from finally seeing, with perfect clarity, that they had calculated my obedience into their budget. I wasn't generous to them. I was predictable. I saved the screenshot. Then I deleted the chat, muted the group, and put my phone face down on the counter. I poured another glass of water and stood by the window. Atlanta was loud and bright below me. People moving, living, unbothered. I wanted to feel that unbothered. 2 days passed. I didn't answer calls. I didn't check messages. I went to work, came home, cooked dinner, read a book. The silence was startling at first, like stepping out of a crowded room into an empty hallway. But it didn't scare me. It just felt unfamiliar. On the 3rd day, my father called. I let it ring. The voicemail was short. "Renee, this has gone on long enough. Your mother is upset. Camille's honeymoon got disrupted because of some card issue. You need to fix whatever you did and stop acting like a child. We raised you better than this. We raised you better than this." Translation. We raised you to keep paying without asking questions. I replayed it once, then deleted it. That evening, I sat on my couch and opened my voice recorder. I didn't know what I was going to say. I just pressed record. My name is Renee Whitfield. I'm 31 years old. I have spent the last 7 years financially supporting a family that excluded me from a wedding I paid for. I have been the source of tuition payments, rent deposits, insurance premiums, credit card bills, and a golf club membership. In return, I was told there was no seat for me, so I removed the only thing they valued about me, my money. This is my record, not for revenge. For proof that I existed in this family as more than a bank account. I stopped recording. I named the file Record May 14. I didn't share it, not yet. But knowing it existed made me feel like I'd put a stake in the ground. The next week, things escalated. My mother showed up at my apartment unannounced. I didn't open the door. She knocked for 15 minutes, then left a note under the mat. "This is what you want? To destroy your family over a seating chart?" Over a seating chart. As if the $91,000 meant nothing. as if the credit cards opened in my name were a footnote, as if being erased from every moment that mattered was something I should have gracefully accepted. Troy texted me from a different number. "Ren, I know you're mad, but I'm about to lose my enrollment. Can we please talk?" I didn't reply. He texted again the next day. "This is serious. They'll drop me from the program." I read it, set the phone down, and went for a walk. Camille took a different approach. She posted a series of Instagram stories, quotes about forgiveness, family bonds, and choosing love over pride. The comments were full of heart emojis and supportive strangers who had no idea that the person she was subtweeting had funded her entire wedding. Then came the part I wasn't expecting. My Aunt Gloria called. My father's older sister, the one who lived alone in Macon, and who had always been kind to me in the quiet, unshowy way that real kindness usually is. She didn't lecture. She didn't pry. She just said, "I heard some things. I don't know the whole story, but I know you, and I know you wouldn't do this without reason." That sentence broke something open. Not in a destructive way, in a releasing way. Like a window that had been painted shut for years finally cracking open. I told her everything. Not all at once, but over the course of an hour. She listened without interrupting. When I finished, there was a long pause. "Renee," she said, her voice steady. "Your grandmother, my mother, used to say something about you when you were little," she said. "That girl carries more than she should, and one day she'll put it down, and they won't know what to do without her." I couldn't speak. I pressed the phone against my ear and closed my eyes. "She saw you," Gloria continued. "Even back then. And she'd be proud of you right now." I thanked her, barely above a whisper. After we hung up, I sat in the kitchen for a long time, just breathing. It was the first time in weeks that the air didn't feel heavy. The following days brought small shifts. A cousin I hadn't spoken to in years emailed me. "Heard what happened. That's not okay. You deserved better." A former neighbor of my parents sent a message through Facebook. "Your mother told the book club you were having a breakdown. I didn't buy it. Just wanted you to know." The whisper network had flipped. My family had tried to frame me as unstable, but the truth had its own current. One by one, people were hearing the real story not from me, but from the facts that couldn't be hidden. Troy's tuition was overdue. Camille's honeymoon charges were bouncing. My father's golf club had suspended his membership for non-payment. My mother had stopped going to Sunday school. I didn't gloat. I didn't post anything. I just kept living. 2 weeks after the wedding, I filed formal fraud reports with both credit bureaus and submitted a police report for the unauthorized accounts. The detective I spoke with was matter of fact. This happens more often than people think, especially within families. He didn't judge, he just documented. I closed every shared account. I changed every password. I redirected all automatic payments to a new checking account at a different bank, one my family didn't know about, couldn't access, and would never benefit from again. Then I did something I'd been putting off. I drove to Macon, to the cemetery where my grandmother was buried. It was late afternoon. The light came through the trees in long amber slices, and the air smelled like pine and cut grass. I sat beside her headstone, knees pulled to my chest, and placed a single white rose against the marble. "I put it down, Grandma," I whispered. "You were right. They don't know what to do." I sat there until the shadows stretched long and thin across the grass. I didn't cry. I didn't need to. Grief wasn't what I felt. It was gratitude for being seen by someone who never asked me to shrink. The drive back to Atlanta was quiet. No calls, no music. Just the sound of the road and the feeling that the car was lighter somehow, like I'd left something behind that I no longer needed to carry. A month later, I started volunteering with an organization that helps women recover from financial abuse, the kind that doesn't leave bruises but hollows you out from the inside. My role was small at first, helping clients read their credit reports, walk through disputes, understand what had been done without their knowledge. But every time a woman across the table looked at me with that same bewildered expression I'd worn in that Savannah hotel room, I knew why I was there. I changed my phone number. I didn't announce it. I just let the old one go silent. If they tried to reach me, they'd find nothing, no voicemail, no redirect, just dead air. My apartment felt different now, not empty or just mine. The walls held no photos of family. The fridge had no passive-aggressive notes. The calendar had no reminders for obligations that weren't mine to carry. I cooked meals I wanted to eat. I read books I'd been putting off. I slept without the low hum of anxiety I hadn't even realized was always there until it stopped. One Sunday morning, I walked to the park near my apartment. The sky was pale blue, the kind that looks like it's been washed clean. I sat on a bench near the fountain and watched a young girl, maybe 4 or 5, run across the grass, with her arms spread wide, laughing at nothing, collapsing into her mother's lap. I didn't feel envy. I didn't feel sadness. I felt free, not because they had changed. They hadn't, but because I had. I had finally stopped confusing sacrifice with love, silence with loyalty, and exhaustion with belonging. I had stopped funding a family that only valued me when I was useful. My name is Renee, and from now on, my name signs nothing but my own future. If you've ever been the one who gives everything and gets left behind, I want you to know something. Walking away isn't selfish. Sometimes it's the most generous thing you'll ever do for yourself. Have you ever had to draw a line with the people you love most? Tell me your story in the comments. And if this one stayed with you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Don't forget to like and subscribe to FM Revenge Story for more stories like this. I'll see you in the next one.